After shedding over 1 kg of weight from losing the box and runners, it's still heavier than normal master grades, measuring at 303 grams. So if you're one of the people who is wondering how heavy this thing is, here you go. What is going on guys, MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Master Grade Gundam Virtue from Gundam 00. The big firepower machine with a hidden nimbler form, the hefty price tag of this kit directly reflects the development cost of the actual mobile suit. Apologies before I continue because I was so eager to go set up the stream, I never really checked the photos, I did them hastily, and this is the result. So I had to rip photos of the runners from the internet. I'm sorry that this has happened, I promise this won't happen again, but anyways, back to the review. This kit is comprised of 28 runners, a sheet of holographic parts, stickers, and decals, and despite the high parts count, the build isn't all that complex. None of the plastics are particularly susceptible to knob marks, though still watch out for the blue and black pieces, but some of the gates were placed in the middle of the parts, not to mention the use of huge gates which may ruin the cleanup process. Overall, it's a straightforward assembly for builders with some experience and are not already intimidated by the price. After around 6 hours of building, you're presented with an astounding representation of the Gundam Virtue in Master Grade form. Proportions and color choice are mostly bang on, and the part separation allows all the necessary colors to be separated with plastic, with stickers only covering the eyes, head sensors, and under all the GN condensers. An alternate set of cheek stickers is left over from choosing between GN004 and GN005, with microscopic differences between the two, and peel-off decals are available to spruce the kit up. The worry about a larger kit with the gargantuan armor pieces is that the product would look bland as a result, but Bandai has implemented plenty of detail in the armor to avoid that very issue, should you choose to bring them out. Coupled with the larger size allowing for the vents and indents to be color separated with plastic, the general aesthetics is simple with an iota of mechanical complexity. You may apply all the decals and give a panel lining and top coat, but if anime accuracy is the aim, the Master Grade Gundam Virtue is perfectly presentable out of the box. Standing at 19.5 centimeters tall, it is taller than the average Gundam. However, with the official stats listing it as 18.4 centimeters tall, it suffers from gigantism because the height is far off from the supposed 1:100 scale height. Articulation begins with the ball and neck joint in the head, but due to the armor, it can't achieve a whole lot, especially without busting its disguise. The torso armor can be tucked up for horizontal and vertical swiveling, while the arm can rotate on a very tight joint, move outwards less than perpendicular to the body, swivel right above the elbow, and bend on a double joint for 90 degrees. The manipulators can fold on 2 different hinges, while the wrists can rotate, and the thumb is ball jointed. And the clavicle antennae can move. Waist movement is non-existent due to the back skirt locking the abdomen armor. Meanwhile, the front skirts are ball jointed, while the side skirts can only swivel out of the way using the joints on the back skirt. The legs can drop down easily and lock into place. However, the thick armor limits leg movement apart from the outward splits. There is a thigh swivel, and a double jointed knee that is hindered by the armor, which do have moving front and back flaps to maximize forward and backwards ankle movement. They can also rock side to side and rotate along their peg, while the toes can move up slightly. Finally, the backpack cannons can flap at the backpack, be raised up and down with the arm, and swivel at the cannon. Overall, range of movement is what I'd expect from a bulky suit, but it can feel a bit back heavy at times. The armor pieces have remained solidly attached, though the leg armor can feel a bit baggy at times. Accessories begin with the finger parts to make closed fists, holding hands, trigger finger hands, and open palms, and there is a pair of each. Armaments start with the GN field emitters. You can simply pull out the panels on the GN cannons and leg armor to reveal the yellow plastic that serves as set emitters. They're subtle and require a bit of imagination, but they do the job nicely. Speaking of the cannons, they can swing up on the backpack arms, and there's a conjoined tab under the barrels for the barrel extension. They don't get in the way of each other, but do be mindful of the V-fin and clavicle antennae when deploying them. Finally, you have the BFG, the GN Bazooka. It has a clear green piece for the scope, and the handle ports on the side can slide together and swivel individually, while the handles themselves have a hinge. It can be pegged into the trigger finger parts and held in the hand securely, and despite its size, the Gundam can support its weight with one arm well enough. Alternatively, you can plug both handles onto the side ports, split the barrel, and extend the yellow pieces within for the burst mode. Open the top chest panel and use both trigger finger hands to hold it in place. It does the job, and thankfully, the yellow extensions don't flop about like the high grade ones. Oh, and the death stare from within the barrel is also rather intimidating. Good job, Bandai. And on the subject of beam sabers, there is not enough room to pluck them out safely due to the leg armor. It's doable, but I won't risk breaking the peg holding the beam sabers in place. Gimmicks include the opening cockpit panel that does reveal Tieria sitting in there well enough. There's also a pair of standing pilot figures of Tieria, one in the pilot suit while the other in his female disguise. This kit does also include a stand adapter for aerial displays, though the weight of the Virtue makes this option a little bit precarious. Finally, you have the option to shed the armor and convert it into the Gundam Nadleeh. Despite how solidly the Virtue armor is held together, the process is rather easy, and I do appreciate how it's almost beat for beat accurate to the anime, especially the V-fin within the V-fin. Of course, you are going to be left with a huge pile of parts, so keep your ziplock handy as there are a few smaller parts mixed in with the massive armor pieces after you're done. And while there are lots of detail hidden under most of the armor pieces, there unfortunately aren't any secret compartments for 3mm holes in case you want to do a purging display, so separately purchasable plastic rods and glue are your best bet. Plug on the front hair pieces onto the neck and cheek, and the rear ones onto the back after removing the brace, and you'll have the Gundam Nadleeh. Initial impressions of the Master Grade Gundam Nadleeh are good. Despite the primarily white color scheme, the general aesthetics are broken up nicely with the grey and red hair, while the previously hidden holographic strips can now fully shine with their iridescent appearance. It's also worth noting that any holes or rivets for attaching the Virtue armor blend in well with the incomplete bodywork. Even though the general proportions are accurate, the side chest armor looks squashed while looking too wide, while the thigh armor is much too slimmed down. I know I'm being put on watch lists as I speak. While the GM power core details on the sides of the shins are missing. On the plus side, the ends of the hair are done up in a disconnected cable aesthetic, which adds more mechanical complexity to spice things up. Overall, the Master Grade Gundam Nadleeh is still quite the looker, but the discrepancies may set some alarm bells off. Standing at 18.8cm tall, is a tiny bit shorter than the Virtue due to it losing its shoes, but otherwise, it's just the Virtue after an impossibly intense workout routine. Articulation differences start with the unencumbered head. The hair is made up of a flexible material, but because it is not as flexible as rubber, they do kind of limit the range of movement and feel disconcerting to handle at times. The torso swivels have a wider degree of movement, allowing the arm to go out near perpendicular to the body, and the elbow double joint is fully unlocked. The whole torso can be pulled up for forwards and backwards crunches, although they are too tight for the armor's liking, so that's a braking hazard. And the waist can rotate to a limited degree, while the bottom flap can move to allow the cockpit hatch to open further. The lack of skirts allow the legs to move out 90 degrees in every direction, and the removed leg armor unlocks a third joint for the knee to bend further back, with an adjustable armor flap at the rear of the knee. Finally, the ankles can rock side to side further, and the toe can point further up. Articulation is expectedly improved and pretty flexible too, just beware of the hair pieces, but otherwise is as standard as modern Master Grades come. On the subject of weapons, the Nadleeh can steal the Virtue's GN cannons for use after flipping out the handles with the included tabs, held on securely by the normal gripping fingers while supported very well by the arms. The shed armor allows easier access of the beam sabers in their knees, and a set of SP8 beams are included for their use in the hands. Next is the GM beam rifle. There's not much to it aesthetically other than the clear green piece for the scope, and it has a moving support grip and forearm connector. It can be securely held by the trigger finger parts, and the forearm connection makes the grip doubly secure. Moreover, a beam effect is included to allow the Nadleeh to use it like a large beam saber. Finally, the GN shield is included for its defense, and besides the cutout windows on the top, there's not much more to its aesthetics. The forearm connection is very secure, and it can be rotated for adjustments. As a bonus, the GN drive can be removed to replace the solar reactor with an included LED housing unit. The actual LED is sold separately. It does wonders for enhancing the display of both forms, especially under dim light, though the light kind of struggles to show through the Virtue armor. Cameras can never do this justice though, I can tell you that much. And while the instructions didn't show you this, you can attach another LED on the GN drive's end to allow it to glow under dim light. Unfortunately, it's a feature more for the Nadleeh because obviously the GN drive is covered up by the backpack during Gundam Virtue mode. And while the solar reactor is very intricately made, it all the more reminds us of the last scene of Gundam 00 Season 1. For leftovers, you do get quite a few inner frame and armor parts from the B, C, and D runners due to the Virtue sharing parts with the Dynames and Curios. There are also some holographic strips left over due to it sharing the Dynames' sheet. Unfortunately, I don't see much use for them other than as backup parts for the Master Grade Dynames. At a glance, both the Virtue and Nadleeh look phenomenal. Proportions are basically accurate, color separation is great, and the extra detail on the armor adds complexity to what would be bland displays. However, the reused parts drag the accuracy down, and while they don't affect the Virtue too much, they heavily impact the Nadleeh. It also needs to be shrunk down to be accurate to the scale. Articulation is generally satisfactory for both of the forms, the joist structure is solid, weapons are securely held, and the Virtue armor doesn't budge apart from the baggy leggings while being easy to take off. Although, the waist is way too tight for safe movement, and the hair limits articulation more than I'd like. The build is straightforward and relaxing, while the implemented mechanics work very well without being overly complex. Costing 8,000 yen, it is on the higher end, but you're getting two distinct forms, the weapons for each form, and a well-made conversion mechanic on top of impeccable visuals. It's worth it overall, but Bandai could have fixed the small blemishes to make it better. Plus, the useless leftovers don't help either. It still averages a 7.5 out of 10 at the end of the day, so I would still recommend this to anyone who wants to give it a try, or perhaps gift it to someone if you have a higher budget for that. It's not perfect, but still a damn good purchase and build to experience. And that basically wraps it up for this review, so thank you all so much for watching. If you did like it, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and also subscribe for more gunplay reviews, gunplay news, and the like. Turn on notifications for future content alerts if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.